I became the mayor of friend zone. Multiple friend zones. Like a small metropolitan area of friend zones. Former nice guys, what made you realize what you were doing wrong and made you change? Extropia. The nice guy is still in there, and it's an important part of who I am. What I cut off were all the so-called nice guy behaviors that were really only ploys to selfishly get what I wanted or to appear like I deserved something when it was really only an act. People, i.e. women, really do like authentic nice guys without the quotes. Guys who think about others. Guys who act in altruistic or supportive ways. Guys who generally like other people. Guys who are confident enough in themselves that they don't need to telegraph an idealized image of themselves constantly. Acting like a nice guy and becoming a nice guy are very different things. Throwaway. Being too nice to the point of being exploited. Gradual change from 1424. 1. Kyokushin karate and judo. Later Brazilian jiu-jitsu 2. Hardcore punk. Albums from bands like Trapped Under Ice. Champion. Expire. Terror. Judge. Youth of Today. Throwdown. Madball. Hatebreed. Minus. Have Heart. etc+. The support and lifelong friendships I made through that scene. 3. The army. Especially Air Assault School and Ranger School. I was a really passive person. Sometimes to the point of being walked all over. I had false friends that were leeches and bloodsuckers. I let myself get disrespected a few times until I confronted the guys the moment it got physical. I don't advocate unnecessary violence, but some people are just nasty hyenas and sometimes they need a punch to nose or a jab cross middle kick. That will teach them that they are just a big fish in a small pond and the world is a very big place. I'm not a douchebag, but I'm no longer conflict averse, nor am I hesitant to put the interests of myself or my loved ones first. You can be kind and nice without being foolish. There is a point of being too nice to the point of foolishness. You need to be able to put your foot down. Don't be a chump. Walk away from things not worth your time or energy. You must also be able to confront a challenge when it is not possible to escape. That's niceness as a generality. Now if you are talking about being nice in dating in the sexual marketplace rather than being too nice too kind generally, kindness is not enough. Nobody owes anybody else sex or companionship. Some people don't want to hear the truth. They react to it violently. I had a friend who did this. He watches a lot of TV, and when I tried to tell him, he was so upset, indignant and ignorant. Being nice is not enough to attract a person. It is a bonus. That is why a handsome but abusive alcoholic bastard or a really mean, selfish and downright cruel but extremely beautiful bitch can still get dates and marriage partners very easily. It's biology. My little brother once said humans think with their pee-pee tingles as an 8-year-old. He said it as a non sequitur to try to get people to laugh. Instead he got no video games for 3 days. But the little dude has a point once you apply his comment to human relations. We think with our genital tingles when it comes to finding mates. This is why people make fun of the nice guy and nice girl trope found in movies and TV shows. Real life doesn't work like that. Philosopher Jean Baudrillard calls that hyperreality. When people think what they see on TV and in movies is more real to them than real life and common sense. A good example of hyperreality is when people were afraid of swimming at the beach after Jaws was released due to fear of shark attacks. Despite shark attacks being more rare than people being struck by lightning. Another example of hyperreality is everybody thinking white commercial vans are pedophile and rapist vehicles when really they're just used by companies and contractors. If you want to learn more about media consumption and hyperreality, read Simulacra and Simulation and the Gulf War did not take place. It will make you feel very big-brained. Like after reading these books, you will feel like the Galaxy Brain Wojak meme. The hyperreality of the nice guy nice girl thing comes from 1980s romantic comedies like Revenge of the Nerds. More recently, modern sitcoms like How I Met Your Mother, Scrubs, The Big Bang Theory and Friends. fictional stories where the lovable loser main character gets the love interest, and it is thematically framed as he got the beautiful girl just because he was nice. There are also gender inverse examples of this too, where the average nice girl gets a very handsome and high status guy for no reason other than just being nice. The Princess Diaries, 16 Candles, A Cinderella Story, etc. People absorb this theme from media, but they don't know that if you try that stuff in real life, it can come across as really creepy, especially if the person doesn't find you attractive in the first place. If someone says no or rejects you, just walk away. You will find the person that is right for you. If you aren't having luck, then you must make yourself attractive to the type of person you wish to attract. Nobody owes you sex or love. How would you feel if someone you were not attracted to was harassing you into you dating them? Fitness, grooming, your economic employment status, your social status, how you dress, your interests, how you speak, your political opinions in relation to the population around you, your social circle, and how you present yourself. All of these things are all way more important when it comes to attracting a mate, whether you are a man or a woman. It's a harsh truth to admit, but everyone is subconsciously shallow. It's just how we express it and manifest it. Niceness is an added bonus, but being nice to a fault isn't really a good thing. Imagine walking around with a sign that says chump or easily exploited person. Romance is a prelude to sex, except for asexual people, but they are a really small part of the population. And the vast majority of people cannot love you without first being attracted to you. People forget that humans are technically animals, and although people don't really have kids all that much anymore, mating's main purpose used to be making kids. Making kids used to be the fulfillment of your biological imperative. Nowadays your life can have meaning based on what you have done and how you have contributed to society. Our sex drives and desire for companionship, pair bonding, stems from that biological impulse to create a next generation. That is why we love things we find attractive more than things we find unattractive. Hope this helps. Clownfish soup. I became the mayor of Friend Zone. Multiple friend zones. Like a small metropolitan area of friend zones. Then I decided that it sucks and I had to be honest. I don't want a female friend, I want a girlfriend. So when I met women I was actually interested in, I would be more flirtatious and less friend-like, i.e., I made it known what my interests were. I mean, yes, I want to be your friend, but I really want to have more than that, just so we're clear. Made a world of difference. I don't want to change your oil so you can safely drive to your boyfriend's house. I want to change your oil so you can safely drive to my house later. One man JJ. I allowed people to hurt me, all because I didn't want to lose them. I had a group of about 20 friends that I thought were all cool with me. I went to play basketball with 2 of the friends from the group. When we were playing basketball I got tired and I sat down on the court. They both ran up to me and stuck their pants in my face. Not a teabag, but like they shoved their thingies in my face, and I'm a boy so it was a little disrespectful to me. I didn't mind because I thought at first they were just joking with me and that maybe they liked me or something. Later that night I needed a ride home and we had walked pretty far. They told me they would ask their parents to pick us up. While we waited, one of the 2 friends came up to me and whispered in my ear, "Let's go behind the building and you going to suck my pee-pee?" I politely told him no and said please do not ask again. The other friend drove me home that night and a few weeks pass and I was sitting on my front porch and both of them show up from around the corner. I smile and say oh what's up guys, because I didn't want them to think I thought they were weird. I actually cared for these boys because they were my friends for a long time. And I didn't care if they liked me, I thought it was cool because I mean hey someone likes me. They pushed me and they told me that they were going to rob me. They grabbed whatever I had and both of them walked away and I said really, and they both laughed at me and one of them turned around and said you're my BTCH. Now you know that this had made me so extremely pissed off. I was so mad at them. But I forgave them and walked inside and told my mom what happened. My mom got angry at me because I didn't defend our property. She told me that I should have stood up for myself because I'm weak for that. That hurt me because all I was trying to do was be a friend and be nice to someone that I cared for, and then they robbed me and then I turned to someone who I thought would love and care for me. It felt like the entire world hated me because everyone thought I was gay and they all thought I was weak. I haven't really changed. I still forgive them. And I forgive everyone who hurt me. Sometimes you can't just change that. My grandma once said, "There are too many buttholes in this world. Why be another one?" Puck Beaverton. Well, I was like 16, so I guess I just grew the frick up. But I remember having the feelings. One girl, Tandy, I constantly tried to make it happen with her. I didn't even want sex. I wanted intimacy. I know. Teens want sex and that's weird to think, but I had a lot of anxiety, and the idea of having to tell my parents I'd gotten a girl pregnant or that I had an STD was overwhelming. There were just some things I couldn't chance every happening, and unlike most other teens, those thoughts didn't go away because my PP was hard. I wanted someone to share everything with. I thought Tandy was perfect for me. I was pretty obsessed with her. I was totally friend-zoned while she dated some penis face from another school. I was heartbroken. And then I was mad. I was such a catch, right? She had to be a total freaking idiot to date this jock piece of shit instead of me, right? Then Melanie. I really loved Melanie, and to be honest I lusted after her. Tandy wasn't such a physical attraction, to be honest, but Melanie had absolutely massive tits, and I can't say they didn't lay heavy on my mind. And like Tandy, I would talk to her for hours. I was fed up from my experience with Tandy, so I just asked her one night, "Why aren't we just doing this? Why aren't we dating?" She told me I'd be cute if I lost some weight. She then proceeded to date a freaking jock. Pre-Chad terminology, chads. At that point, in my maturity, I was full-blown nice guy mode. Women want a fucking asshole. Deal. I was planning on going to college and cutting a bloody fucking swath of bitches behind me. Then a girl asked me to prom. I had known her for a long time. I loved her as a friend. We had been close, and I had only briefly considered romantic feelings. They were squashed by the fact that she was dating not some jock, actually a fat guy like me. He seemed nice enough. I decided that's cool, but I remembered I was heading to college. I was going to treat women like they wanted. She could be the first. I told her, since we had a history and I didn't really want to hurt her, I am not interested in anything serious. We're probably going to last about as long as high school. I ended up actually breaking all my rules and at 18 lost my virginity to her. I loved her deeply. We moved in together after high school. A small duplex. Then we got married. Now we have 2 kids. We are in our 30s. And I haven't thought about this poop in a long time. But I love her with every single part of myself. I am a freaking stage 5 clinger, I realized. So I never could find the level of intimacy I wanted with these other girls. Not my ex-girlfriends. Not the ones I was chasing. They wouldn't let me get close enough. There would come a point in the conversation when it became clear that I had told them more than they signed up to know. I didn't understand this. I wanted to tell them everything I had thought of or wanted, or feared, and I wanted to know what they thought about it. I wanted to change with them and hurt with them and cry with them and laugh with them. No one was down for any of that, except my wife. She was down for all of it, because as it turns out, she too was a stage 5 clinger. We barely spent a day apart since we got together and went to prom. She would spend the night at my house or I at hers, every single night in high school. My parents either turned a blind eye to our romps or they were truly ignorant of them. Her parents knew exactly what was happening and just said wear a condom, it was so fun. I loved all the sex we had, and yet, it's only gotten better. We basically had no idea what we were doing back then. We only get more intimate as well. We can tell each other anything. And frankly, I need both. I need intimacy through sharing, and through sex. I need that out of another human being to feel whole. Had I not gotten it? Frick man. I'm sure I would have been a top post or two in r/nice guys. I feel for those guys. They're not self-aware enough to understand what they need, much less how to pursue it. So they're locked in this self-flagellating nightmare that they'll never escape until they figure it out. It always makes me think of Jumanji when Alan is stuck in the game for 40 years. Someday, hopefully, and very likely around when they're 40, these guys are going to roll 5 or 8. They're not going to know what year it is. They're going to be knocked for a loop. And they're going to look back on the waste that was their lives. And they're going to hate themselves. You have to know what they're living and what they're going to live. It's a nightmare. They're completely blind to it. They're not even fully self-actualized. I'm not saying what they're doing isn't their fault or isn't wrong. It is, and they deserve quite a lot of derision. But I can't help but feel terribly for them as well. Cause no, I'm not over it yet. It's an ongoing process. So, as to the origins, I am a pretty quirky guy by nature. On top, I was raised in a deeply religious household with an absent dad and tons of shame about my sexuality. We were always taught to turn the other cheek, to avoid prideness. The cult literally revels in how much the rest of world hates them. So I got a victim mentality deeply ingrained. Also, we weren't allowed to date at all until I left the cult around 18. Logically, that awkwardness quickly led to intense bullying through a lot of school. I was never the guy to insult women once they reject me type, but I sure did some cringy stuff. Like over the top romantic in film but creepy in real life stuff like writing my crush in high school a love letter, which he then read to the class. I used to let people walk over me. I'm fighting to get back a feeling of self-worth and I'm struggling with deep abandonment issues. In my love life I tended to be extremely clingy in the beginning of fear of being left again, which obviously drove the girls away, or made it hard to start relationships in the first place because I was so unsure of myself. I'm pretty much over the women like only arseholes thing now, at 35. To be fair though, that observation is kind of true. Girls actually mostly prefer an arsehole over someone who is timid or shy or not too sure of himself, but genuinely nice. It's just not the arseholeness they are attracted to, it's just the next best thing to a confident guy. I think I was never faking kindness. It was almost always heartfelt. Just not selectively enough and too naively to a point where I would get fucked over by people I thought were close. I am definitely also guilty of the hidden contract fallacy. How did it get better? I can't pinpoint a single point of colossal shift. It is a mixture of, I'm certain it helped that I actually pulled myself out of a lot of the shit I started in with hard work and pain. Especially the religion being shunned and education, career, financial stuff. Simply gathering experiences, wasting years not even talking to the girls I liked, realizing that it's useless, at least talking to the girls, but timidly and completely non-sexual, then wasting years in the friend zone because I believed all the shitty dating advice given to me. One day she'll realizing myself that it just doesn't work, trying to become more direct, being so blunt and straightforward that it worked with some but turned off most of the others, having some short relationships, wasting more time by falling back into old habits, but at least this time wasting only months not years, then had some relationships more or less successfully, noticed problems, such as clinginess and better them, fucked up my last 13-year relationship by falling back into old habits, failing to draw boundaries and assert my needs, accept being walked over and also handling fear of rejection, this time not by being clingy but being fake uninterested and independent while suffering and being resentful on the inside. Once I realized I had gotten education and employment in order, about 3 years ago, took a while for the existential fears to subside. I started addressing my psychological issues directly. Before I was kinda blindly stumbling around blindly and focusing on different things. Since a few years I am taking more direct measures, such as going to therapy, books such as No More Mr. Nice Guy, learning meditation, various resources on self-help from so many sources. To name a few. Teal Swan. Although I still can't relate to the deeply esoteric stuff. Elliot Hulse, Jordan Peterson, Jordan Gray, and yes, that also includes a lot of red pill and pickup content. One of the most important aspects for me, last but not least, improving my social group. I can't stress this enough. You become who you spend the most time with. People can help build you up or break you. You should carefully and consciously select who you choose to spend time with. That can take several forms. I personally went through multiple stages of having no friends at all, having fake friends who actually bully me and bring me down, or manipulate and use me, and yes, that was mostly girls. And yes, I now know that I also let them, having okay-ish friends who are good people but also kind of complacent and not particularly deep or emotionally uplifting. Actually finding people I deeply connect with on an emotional level, who are helpful but also at least as interested in growing as myself. That is a very recent development. 1 year with 3 people like that has done so incredibly much for my development. I can't put it into words.